Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Kraeher, Leigh Stima, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Leigh, and I'm here with Yvonne and Gretta, and as always, the Realm of Beings. And we are very happy to be on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining us today. You might hear the term realm of beings and ask yourself who they are and how they operate in our lives. If you're new to the podcast, I just wanted to mention to check out our very first episode where we go into great detail explaining who the realm of beings are and introducing ourselves. So feel free to check that out. These conversations will help you examine your life and your creation of reality. They will help you to shift your impressions and understand what you're creating in your life and how it shows up. This morning, I think we are going to walk the road of victimization and forgiveness. Let's just see where this goes. We have a bit of a longer quotation today that we're working with, and it is more important to thank a person for a challenging experience in which both of you participated in than forgive them for something that you feel he or she did to you. You created the reality if it personally happened to you. The other person just supported you in the experience. Now, that is definitely a new way to look at things. You know, where do we start this? I mean, do we start on forgiveness? Do we start on creation? Where do we begin?
I would like us to begin with creation of reality.
Okay.
Because that's when you can get to the thank you. Because otherwise, you keep blaming people. And I think on one of our podcasts, we dealt with that concept of blame. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't want to take possession of what you created in your experience. And a lot of people get confused with, this is what I found. They get confused with when is it support and when is it I'm creating the reality. And I think it talks about that in the quote, that it's what happens to you personally. If it personally happens to you, I don't care what it is. If it personally happens to you, you have created it. If somebody said to you, oh, I love that dress, or I love that suit that you're wearing, you created that because that was your personal experience. It was directed at you, you see. So that's how you can know the difference between, am I creating it or am I supporting? If you're doing something for someone else, then you're supporting, you see, like that person was supporting you. But see, it's always create, support, support, create. We'd like everybody to kind of remember that and gel with that. Create, support, support, create. You are creating while you are supporting. The other person is supporting while he or she is creating. Because you can have a create, support, support, create with an animal, with your pet cat. with your pet parakeet. It create support, support create is defining relationships in this humanoid life experience. Create, support, support, create.
So Greta, excuse me for just interrupting, but I do have a, a question. So in that example, where somebody comes to you and says, oh, I like that dress or that suit that you're wearing. So that in this example, you've created that the other person is supporting you in that. So if you continue with the example, what would they're supporting, but what else would they be creating for themselves there?
They're creating for themselves an opportunity to, which could be for many reasons, but they're creating an opportunity where they want to share, they want to make someone else feel good about themselves. So therefore, I'm going to say that to you.
So appreciation, like if
Right.
you were to like put it into one word, they've created in themselves an appreciation that showing appreciation to
Right.
somebody else and
Right.
caring about somebody else. So they're basically showing them love.
Right. Right. They wanted to do that. They wanted to express that to the other person. And then the other person, of course, accepted it. And then maybe, right. That's
right.
right.
A lot of times I feel like I've seen this in my own life where somebody will compliment, and I've been there. I've been like, oh, okay, somebody compliments me on my dress or my whatever. And I'm like, oh, it was just something I had, or I got it on sale, or, you know, like you just say something that's really not accepting that compliment.
Right. So it shows you what?
I don't deserve that.
Right.
It showed me, not anymore, because now I was like, oh, thank you. Like I can just keep saying, oh, thank you. Like, and then I feel good that that person, I'm whatever I'm wearing is, whatever. I took the time to select it, or I got a new dress, I went to buy it and I enjoyed that experience. But I'm basically saying that I'm accepting your compliment. And
Right.
I'm accepting your love because I feel worthy of it. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Yvonne. I know I've gone through that myself. Someone would tell me, oh, well, you look really good with this. And I say, oh, it's nothing, so we turn around, we try to negate that.
And then it creates uneasiness in the other person. Like you're not able to accept that compliment, which effectively is a gift from them. So you're basically just kind of saying, oh, I don't want that gift, or I don't want that compliment from you. So, you could take this example even deeper as we're trying to like explore consciousness, but yeah, I think it's important to just dive a little deeper on it in it.
But hold on one second. When Greta was talking initially, I said, oh, by George, I think I've got it this time. I said, okay. So if someone is saying or giving or doing something to you, you've created that to happen. Yes. Conversely, when you say or do or act to another, they've created that. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so in this, which I have been there too, someone is feeling generous and appreciative and I guess good in themselves, and they say, oh, you look lovely, this, that, whatever. And then just like you ladies have said, oh, or I don't say anything at all because I don't know what to do with it. But in our response, it's also an indication of where the other person stands. Correct? Mm-hmm. Yes? No?
Yes.
So if the person is saying, oh, you look lovely today, that was your creation, I guess, because you're feeling some improvement in your energy, or you happen to actually really admire yourself in this day, your energy is up. But then if you don't say anything or just give that, oh, this old thing kind of comment, that's a reflection of where the other person is. Because if they were at a different level, you would say, oh, and you look fantastic too, or that's lovely, right?
Right, right. If you set up a negation of the comment that they made, then you're telling something about yourself that you, like Yvonne said earlier, that you don't know how to be worthy of that compliment. At the same token, when you negate it and for the next person, for that other person that's giving it to you, then that the creation of reality is that that person then, like Yvonne said, can feel negated, can feel that, why didn't you accept my accolade? You know, so that person then can feel sad, but it depends on the person. Somebody else, if you negated it, the other person would say, okay, and just accept it and keep going. See, it depends on where each person is at the unconscious level. See, because we deal with the unconscious. We know we have all these consciousnesses that people have created, but we deal with the unconscious because the unconscious holds everything. Everything that that you have ever experienced in your life. That includes if you had a hiccup on Tuesday at 10:29 p.m., it has it.
That's the Akash, right? That's the record of everything, they call it. Sometimes people refer to it as the Akash, right?
Right. But sometimes, you know, with the Akashic records, a lot of people think of that as past.
Right.
So I become very careful when I talk about the Akashic record.
Yeah, it's not defined. There's different definitions out there for it. I think.
Right. But
There's
I would
no
like
agreement on what exactly that is.
Right, because everybody's bringing their own perception of it to the table.
Correct.
You know, however, the thing is that I would like to reiterate to everyone that there is no past.
Right.
There is no past, there is no future. There's only what people call the now. The now. Everything is going on simultaneously now. Even when you were in your mother's womb, is still going on, because that's energy. You cannot kill or get rid of energy, nor can you create it. Energy is, because the energy is the force itself. When I ask people, everybody talks about energy. Well, I do Reiki, I do this, I do that. I say, good. So what is the energy you're using? And then most people stop. They don't know how to answer my question. And I tell them, I said, it is the force itself, giving itself to you for the experience that it wants to deal with through you. I know that was a handful, but anyway. So, but the Akashic records, you know, I don't deal with it from a past perspective, because that what you think are past are really lateralities that are going on simultaneously with what you're experiencing as well. Yeah. Now, what else was to that quote? Because it was long.
It was very long. It is more important to thank a person for a challenging experience in which both of you participated.
Can you hold that 1 minute? Hold that 1 minute. That's important, to thank somebody. See, people think forgiveness is very, 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 very extremely important. The most important thing between thank you and forgiveness is the thank you. Because that's a turning of how we think. See, if we are still in a forgiveness stage, then we believe that the other person did something to us. When you get to the point where you understand you created that reality, then there's no need to blame that person any longer. And so therefore, there's no need to forgive that person any longer. What you're recognizing is that that person was supporting you where you were at. So it turns into a thank you instead of a blame.
Yeah, I think that could go even one step beyond that, where people like get really stuck in that so-and-so needs to apologize. So that's like, it's like really stuck energy. And then then you could see the movement into like, oh, I forgive them and then I let it go. But then the another piece to that is obviously, like we're talking about, the gratitude, because that is a real release of any attachment to that. And it releases you from thinking or, feeling bad or having any, any emotions around it. And also it releases the other person, in just a state of gratitude. And when you're grateful, you just open yourself up to other experiences that, give you whatever you want to create, more joy, more happiness, more peace. That's just my little 2 cents, from my own experience. It does take a while though to undo those patterns. I think for me, it's recognizing it and really appreciating the bad, if you want to call it the bad stuff, the challenges that you don't need in your life anymore, but they've been in your life for a lifetime. So yeah, I don't know, gratitude.
Right?
What's that?
Detachment, putting those
Detached
things
with love. Yeah.
down. But I think when we were talking, that is really good that you stopped us there, Greta, to talk about that pivoting point of, from, oh, I want to blame Charlie to thanking Charlie. And then I think where the forgiveness comes in is just forgiveness of self, right? Like a kindness with once you make that pivot point where you stop doing the external blaming of that other and know that there is no other, we're all sort of just the same, and to just be kind to yourself that, okay, this is where I was at that moment in time, and it's okay. I can create something else.
Yes. Yes. And if you go with that idea, Leigh, that you stated, that we forgive ourselves, we can also turn around and thank ourselves for the creation of it. Now that's even getting deeper.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many people do that? I don't, that's, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We'll have to remind ourselves and our listeners, our viewers to, I want to pick that up, but we've been reminded by Jacob, our producer, that we're coming up to our break. So just want to take us off and thank everybody for being here this morning. And we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Good morning again. I'm Yvonne. I'm here with Greta and Leigh, and the Realm of Beings will be with us in a bit. And we are here on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with our podcast, Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. And we are so grateful, thankful that you're listening with us today, and whoever's listening to us at another time. Thank you. So the quote today that we're diving into, I'm just going to remind everybody we kind of stopped midstream and we want to get back into where we were for the break. So the quote today is, "It is more important to thank a person for a challenging experience in which both of you participated than to forgive them for something that you feel that he or she did to you. You created the reality if it personally happened to you. The other person just supported you in the experience." So listeners, ladies, realm, Jacob, we are diving here into a place of gratitude, but also exploring that idea of, I think the name of the description of the title of the podcast is Shifting Victim Mentality. So here we go. Forgiveness, I think we touched on that a little bit. The whole concept of forgiveness. Once again, you're in that energy of bad versus good. You did something to me, right versus wrong. So you're still in a place of like separation, of division. And effectively, you're blaming the other person because you feel there's something to forgive. There's something there, something outside of yourself that needs to be taken care of, and you're expecting whatever that thing is, whatever that infraction was, that crime, whatever it is that another person did to you, it's there because and then it needs to be forgiven. But we're kind of shifting perspectives here, shifting impressions, and discussing the fact that what if you actually created that, and instead of looking at it in a way that it has to be forgiven, in a way that another person has to take responsibility, you shift and you just are grateful for the lesson, which allows you a place to be in a place of self-forgiveness, so that you're able to open other things up into your reality. Okay, that's my little intro here in chapter 2. So take it away, Greta, Leigh.
I think that forgiveness of self is showing also unconditional love of self. That you don't have to beat up on yourself because you created to be fired on your job. You know, it's like people tell me, I got fired. I said, no, you fired yourself. That was creation of reality. You have to be there wanting to leave that job before that person can support you in that. You have to be there. You have to create the environment for yourself that someone will turn around and say, okay, I would like you to leave. You know, I know once I had a job that I really started concentrating on for me to be let go. I said, if I stay here, I honestly felt this, and I wasn't even doing this work at that time. I said, this job is going to kill me if I stay here.
Oof,
you know, I was working from 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes until 12 o'clock midnight. I said, this has got to go. So I really started concentrating on let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go, because I knew that I loved the people that I supervised, but I just knew I wasn't going, I just couldn't take it. I was, putting out bushfires, which I guess I created the bushfires, and so finally, the very next day, my boss calls me in his office And he says, I want to let you go. I said to myself, while I'm sitting in front of him, yippee,
Oh,
thank, thank goodness. When the secretary came and said, you know, so-and-so would like to see you, I said, yes, this is it. This is it. And so, but then the reality came in, oh my God, I'm not going to have a job. How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to eat? You know, I said, holy moly, look what you created, Greta. But see, I wasn't really into creation of reality, but I knew I'd done something because I sat up praying for it all night long. And so then there it was created for me. So I told him, I said, no, I'm not going to quit, because he asked me to quit. I said, I'm not quitting, but you can fire me. That's what I told him. He said, fire you? I said, yes. I said, I've never been fired before in my life. So this ought to be an interesting experience, to say the least. And if you fire me, at least I'll be able to get unemployment compensation until I can find another job. So he accommodated me through that. And in fact, I got 1 month's pay, which is not very much. And he gave me unemployment compensation, because he would always fight people on unemployment compensation. I'm not paying you to do so, but he didn't give me any problem whatsoever. And most people that he let go, really, they left angry with him. I didn't leave angry with him. I left in peace. And that to deal with.
That whole experience you created, though. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole thing, you created the working, the long hours. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that because sometimes I feel like, I don't know, maybe it could be misunderstood a little, because it sounded a little bit, you know, like this was happening to me instead of this I created, right? Because this job was taxing you.
Absolutely, because at that time, if you had told me at that time that I created that reality, I would look at you real funny.
Right.
I just would. There was no way in the world you were going to tell me that I created all what I was experiencing. No way.
Right.
I didn't believe that.
But I mean, people in those situations that are experiencing some similar creation, they're feeling overworked and overburdened, and they don't get enough time with their families or for their personal lives. I mean, what do they need to address within to perhaps start to shift that?
Love of self.
Mhm.
That means you don't love yourself. And also it's a possibility, a probability that they are into saviorhood.
Oh,
See,
like,
I went into saviorhood because I realized that the people that I supervised, there were close to about 150 people. And, you know, they would call Greta, you know, I was forever putting out fires on this particular job. But that was the saviorhood in Greta. See, Greta had to learn not to be a savior, you see. And because in saviorhood, you become the victim. So what was I? I became the victim. I mean, my husband even told me, my daughter's father, he told me, he said, I don't see you anymore because I have to go to work at 5 o'clock. He sleeps. I don't come home till 12 o'clock midnight. He sleeps. And then it might turn around, it's time for me to go again, you know. So it was out of saviorhood, and then I became the victim. That's one of the things in that scenario. The other
So, Greta,
go ahead.
what did you create in the relationship with your the father of your child, your previous husband?
I would think that it gave us more space. I created more space within the relationship.
But by creating being fired, so you were changing.
Creating by being fired?
Or
No. What did I create then when I got fired?
With the relationship, it seems like you were too busy to have like to see him, right?
Right, right.
So were you creating a distance in that relationship while you were busy working? And then what shifted in that part of your life? If you don't, you don't have to answer it if you don't
Oh
want
yeah, I
to.
can answer. Well, it gave us more time together,
Mm-hmm.
which gave us more time to explore the relationship together, which we decided was not the best relationship we could be in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were married for 16 years, well, 15 years, 16 years together. So then it was a decision, you know, I went to him a year ahead of us leaving each other. I told him, I said, I want you to know in a year from now, we will not be together
Wow.
because the lessons that we are to learn together are coming to an end. That's what I
So
told
you were studying the creation of reality at that point then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but because see, losing, creating to lose the job was done in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
So creation of reality didn't come until in my 40s for me to learn that. Yeah. And it started because I wanted a job singing that I, in a church environment, which it didn't matter which church it was or what denomination it was. But I knew that I could pick up, you know, some extra money that would help. This was even before I was even created to be fired, you see. But that's when I wound up, I think I said it on one podcast, I wound up singing for a religious science church, which is a sect of Christianity, but it talks very much about creation of reality. So every Sunday I'm hearing Minister Vera talk about creation of reality, creation of reality, creation of reality. So then I started reading, you know, and I started to go to classes with religious science, you know, attending classes and reading and examining things, you know, how do you think, you know, with Ernest Holmes' Science of Mind. That's religious science, science of mind. I spent 2 years studying that book because you do it the first year, but you don't really grasp the depth of it. So you go through it again, you know, so I'm learning more and more. And that's where I learned that I create my reality. And Claudine taught us that. I told her, if I remember correctly, I told her, I said, you gotta be lying to me. You gonna tell me I created all this mess that I've gone through in my life? Good God. You know.
Interject something just before we have to go to our next segment. When we were talking earlier about the quote and we were talking about thanking a person and, you know, that forgiveness you should direct within. If you've created something that maybe caused, you know, could have potentially caused bad feelings with another, right? Is it, where does I'm sorry fit in? Does it fit in anymore?
You know what? That's an interesting question. I very rarely say I'm sorry.
Okay.
Very rarely, if I even do it at all. A lot of times I'm not even a lot, because I realize that the other person is creating this reality.
Okay.
So as you know, whatever that person is, however I'm supporting that person, I know it's coming because that person is creating it. Because I can't do something to somebody else unless they allow it.
Right.
unless they create the possibility, the probability of that. They have to create that for me to be able to come at them in any way. Even if I'm coming at them in a nasty way, that person is creating that reality because they are receiving the nastiness. Now, if I get nastiness back from that person, then I'm creating that as well to receive the nastiness back. So, but as I stand right now, I don't really say, I'm sorry I did this, I'm sorry I did that, because it's really nebulous. Usually I'll say, I want to talk about what I created. Now that I will say,
Okay.
I want to let you know what I created.
Mhm.
Yeah, but to tell you I'm sorry, no,
Mm.
I very rarely
Or,
do
I
that.
mean, if you're just reflecting and maybe you understand that there was a trigger operating in your life and that's what sparked your perhaps overt response, even though you can understand that there's a dance between you and the person, but just in a way to acknowledge it. So you would say, you know, can we have a conversation about what I've created?
I do that. That's exactly what I say.
Okay.
You know, I'll say, this is about me.
Mhm,
I would like to discuss me
mhm.
and let you know where I am as far as what has happened here.
Okay, fair enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish we had another chapter to explore that. We're gonna have to put it on our list because that one seems really juicy. I just would love to go in that a little bit further, but just seems like time is going by so quickly here today, and we are getting ready here for our second break. But stay tuned, because when we come back, we will be joined by the realm of beings. And it's always very interesting, whatever happens in this last segment. So please stay tuned.
Welcome back to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. We are at the segment of the podcast where we get direct information from the realm of beings through Gretta about the quotation we've been discussing today. So let's get started. Realm, are you with us?
Yes.
There, affirmatively. Okay, today, I know you know, but I will just repeat it. We were talking about the quotation, it is more important to thank a person for a challenging experience in which both of you participated than to forgive them for something that you feel that he or she did to you. You created the reality. If it personally happened to you, the other person just supported you in the experience.
Absolutely. It's not about anybody doing anything to you. That's impossible. And how's it impossible? It's impossible because each and every individual here, trees, insects, humans, everything is creating its own reality. So it's not that you've done something to somebody or somebody has done something to you. You create everything that personally happens to you, as we said in the quote. If it happens to you personally, you created it. If you stubbed your toe, you created to stub your toe. If you fell on the floor, you created to fall on the floor. You did that. Nobody else did that for you. Now, if somebody pushed you on the floor, you still wanted to be on the floor. You still wanted to fall. So the only thing that that person did was to assist you in falling. So that person gave you the support that you wanted to experience that process of falling. So the thing here is to know everything that happens to you, you have created it. Now, it can be done on an individual level, or it can also be done on a collective level. Like a recent collective level would be people who are now refugees. Refugees from whatever country that they're in or that they're coming from. They form this collective that together they want to move away from a certain situation. So they go somewhere else as a group. I may not know the person in another person in that group. I may be in that group by myself. But the point is that there's a collective relationship going on here. Why is there a collective relationship? There's a collective relationship because all of those individuals are tapping into the force, which is themselves, really. Because there's only one unconscious, only one. Everybody thinks that each person has their own unconscious. Each animal has their own unconscious. No, they do not. If you believe in that, then you're solidifying that you believe in separation. And there is no separation between anyone or anything. We are all one. So therefore, some of us can move in a collective. Like if people are protesting something, wherever they are protesting, then they form that collective. They've come together by way of that unconsciousness, because remember, unconscious, the unconscious holds everything. It does not miss a beat. So therefore, everyone is tapping into the same unconscious, and we're saying, okay, we are protesting, or tapping into that same unconscious and saying, we are coming to pray for peace worldwide. So we become a part of that collective consciousness, something that we are aware of. That's the consciousness. The unconscious is things that we are not aware of unless we pay attention to what we have created. You will always know where your unconscious is because of what you create. Who do you attract to yourself? Do you attract people to yourself that support you in loving yourself, or do you attract people to yourself that show you that you are not worthy of being loved? That is your choice of what you want. Reality is choice. So you have collective choices. There were people praying for peace all over the world at one point. We don't know each other, but we are one. It's the illusion that we are separate individuals. That's an illusion. We are all one. We are all in sharing one unconscious, which is the force itself. The unconscious is the force. The energy that you use to create your realities is the force. You are the force. A cockroach is the force. How do you know that? Because you're nothing but energy. Your physical bodies that you have created are illusions for you to manage this thing called life, this reality of life that you are cognizant of. There are many things that are going around you that you are not cognizant of because you keep blinders on so that you just see this portion. It would be a lot for some people to see outside of the blinders. In fact, some people who see outside of the blinders, they say are insane in your life experience, but they're not necessarily insane. It's just that they have expanded their periphery further than you have expanded yours.
Realm, before you joined us, I was asking Greta to, in this newfound impression, let's just say, where you take responsibility for your creation of reality and you stop blaming the other person. But I asked Greta to explain where I'm sorry fits in, or how, if we're feeling that maybe upon reflection our actions were not appropriate, how do we explain that to another?
First of all, when you think that you have done something to somebody that's inappropriate, first realize that you were supporting that other person, and that you can't do it unless that's where the person is. So therefore, it is not necessary for you to say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because that person created that experience. Because see, when you think I'm sorry, then you're going into blame of self.
Okay.
There's no need to blame self. There's no need to feel sad for self. Recognize that you can't do anything to that person. It's absolutely positively impossible. That person is creating the reality. The only thing you're doing is supporting them where they are at. That's all you're doing. So why say I'm sorry for something that they created in the first place?
That's a big shift. That's a big unraveling.
Absolutely. Some people, I'm sure there are people in the audience who are saying, oh, we can't believe that. But that's learning. It's learning that you cannot ever do anything to anybody. Ever, it's impossible. So why say I'm sorry for something you did not create? Now, things that are happening to you and that person is supporting you, then you can deal with, I created it. But then it's like in the podcast last week, we had two words that are very important. How you create the reality and why you created the reality. So we want to say that again. Two important words in dealing with your life is how did I do this and why did I do this? So this exploration of creation of reality is for you to examine you. Examine you. We always want to examine the other person.
Right.
We want to say, well, that person's no good. Look at them. They hurt me. That person hurt me. No. Only thing that person was doing was supporting you because you wanted to be hurt. Where? At the conscious level? No. At the unconscious level. That's why the unconscious is important for understanding it. Because a lot of what you experience is supported by the unconscious. It's exploring itself through you. Yes. Experiential evolution. You've heard us say that word, experiential evolution, evoluting through experiences. This is what you have committed to undertake. experiences. Some experiences you're going to create that you'd say, oh, yay, I'm so happy. I enjoyed my birthday party. I enjoyed receiving presents. Or yay, I enjoyed getting my diploma or my certificate. Yay, I enjoyed getting a new job. Yay. But if somebody calls you a derogatory name, then you don't go, yay. You want to say, look what that person did to me. No. Why did you want to receive a derogatory name? Notice I said why. The how is the person said a derogatory name to you, defined you in a derogatory way. You created that. They supported you in that. So the thing here, I think, for this is to understand you create everything that personally, see, it's that word personally that's important. You personally have an experience. You're receiving personal experiences. That is your creation. If you're quote unquote, watch, I'm going to say, do it to the other person, which is impossible, but maybe that would help people understand the difference. If you feel that you're doing something to somebody, you are supporting them. They have to be in the place to receive it and create it in the first place before you can send it to them.
Realm, we are wrapping up another podcast. 10 seconds of final anything.
Oneness. Start learning to be in oneness. Start learning to understand that you created realities for yourself and that it's okay. I don't care what you created. It's okay. You don't like it, uncreate the doggone thing.
And on that note, we will wrap up another podcast of Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Thank you, Realm. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, listeners, until we create each other again.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, the Realm, and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multidimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.